Manx Radio Podcasts, powered by Shaw.
Hello and welcome to this week's Countryside with Kiri Kermode and Simon Clark, and the start of Wildlife Week, Kiri.
Yes, it's already been a busy week, but there's still plenty more coming with rock pooling and bat walks and guided tours all around the Isle of Man. It's no better chance to get out and enjoy the Manx countryside.
And that's one thing, I suppose, when people talk about wildlife, they just think maybe of an odd bird or a creature and some flowers, but there's far more, isn't there, involved, and plenty of enthusiastic people that are willing to spread the news about it.
We are lucky on the Isle of Man. We have such great open spaces that we can, ramble around and take our binoculars and cameras and really, really enjoy. But to have, like you say, the experts on hand that can guide us or put us in the right direction and maybe come across an odd species that's never really been seen before.
No. Well, I went along to Tim Johnson's farm at Ballavari to see him, but he wasn't there, I'm afraid. But I did catch up with him at Close Lake Farm, where he was out spreading fertiliser. So I had a good old chat with Tim about how things are going, preparing the grass, obviously, for silage, for feeding cereal crops and things like that, and also how things have been going with the quite large dairy herd that Tim and his family farm up there, Ballavari. So I'll have a chat with him. And also had a look around the Onchan Centenary Park at the back of Farm Hill there. Nigel Williams and Phil Corlett, also the manager of the project at the moment, Folk Horning. They all showed me around and had a chat with all of them. They get together on a Sunday and do little bits at a time, and it's really taken shape up there now. It's only in the early sort of parts of it, but the trees they've planted and the little paths they've got put in, it really is
They'll be all
nice.
here for years to come, won't it? And it's just someone giving up a bit of their spare time to do it and make it nice for everyone to enjoy. But they must be very proud of it though, Simon.
Oh, yes, they are. You can hear all that now in this week's Countryside in detail.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
I took a trip to see Tim Johnson, one of the northern dairy farmers from Ballavari Farm up there just down the outskirts of Andreas. Well, I caught up with him at Close Lake Farm on the way to Ramsey. He was out sowing fertiliser. And I put it to Tim for once some bright sunshine.
Yeah, very welcome. Very welcome indeed, Simon. It's been a long time, a long wait. I think everybody's feeling that way. I think farming or not, I think everyone's just fed up with the long, relentless winter we've had. Really pleased to see some sunshine, yeah.
Met you out now and got the fertiliser spread here. I'll not keep you too long from getting this sown, but is that behind as well? We'll talk about the dairy cows a little bit later, but as preparing fields for crops and grass?
Yeah, I think we're about 3 weeks behind here on this farm, and certainly talking to other people, I think they feel the same really. We're a long way behind, not being able to just get onto land because it's so wet. Obviously not seeing the grass growth. So yeah, there's a lot of field work to do around the island. Some ground's being ploughed, but that's sort of some ground you would expect to see being drilled, and by now it's a long way off. So yeah, it's a real knock-on effect. I'm trying to get fertiliser on, and there's ground that I just can't get onto yet at all. It's just far too wet. So yeah, it's a long way to go.
What about the effect that this has had on the dairy cows? Obviously, would you have them out by now normally, or are they out?
Yeah, ours are out now. Our high yielders are going out actually tonight for the first time. We would normally expect them to be out at least 2 weeks by now. Our other group would have been probably out knocking on 3 weeks by now normally, but they've only just going out. So yeah, it's a real knock-on effect. So very late. So that's meant that we've been having to feed our winter ration for longer, so it's obviously higher cost. And we want to get cows out. Grass is the best form of feed for dairy cows. Doesn't matter what you grow, what you buy in, nothing beats grass at the end of the day. And we want
they produce more with that.
Oh yeah, they produce more, and that's what they want, and that's what we want to get them out onto. And as soon as we can, as soon as conditions, and growth is there, we want to do that. And that normally that would have been sort of 2 or 3 weeks ago, but like I say, I've been farming 20 years and I've certainly never seen a spring like it, and certainly spoken to people who have been farming a lot longer than me, and they're saying the same. It really has been a pretty dreadful time.
The milk margins, they're not the best in the world for milk producers, and this, I suppose, has, like you said, you've got to keep them in longer, feed them in longer, And it all adds up, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the time of year. Normally, the spring is when you're desperate to get the cows out. This is the time when you're looking at really cutting back on your feed costs. You're making the most of the best grass coming of the season. That's what everyone's aiming to do. Get those cows out. So yeah, this all adds extra costs onto the business, and of course, you're not getting that spring yield either from the cows. So it'll come, but it's just extra costs and delay, and of course that's then a knock-on effect on the business.
When you look at you sowing the fertiliser now, obviously for trying to get the first cuts of silage and good grass out. I mean, mainly dairy yourself, but do you have cereal crops as well?
Yeah, we grow some cereals, mainly for forage for whole crop. So it's not as much time pressure for us to get it drilled as those who are actually wanting to combine it. But yeah, we've got nowhere near any of our stubble land yet for ploughing, so that's going to be very late this year as well. But I mean, there is ground being ploughed. I'm seeing around, and people are getting on now and making the most of this weather, and we'll be aiming to catch up as much as they can.
But this it's delayed now, but it's a few months down the line where it can affect as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you get a winter like this, you get a spring like this, then it will knock on through the year because ground conditions the soil structure gets damaged, so that takes time. And then of course you're looking then to sort of catch up on your forage growth and getting your silage made, and it potentially will have effect on yields on cereal crops as well. So it can have a knock-on effect that you felt through the rest of the year, really. Yeah.
What about the winter? How's it been for you as a dairy farmer? Cow-wise, heifer-wise, bullock-wise?
Yeah. It's been a tough winter on all livestock. It's been a lot colder than normal. But yeah, as far as the industry is concerned, the milk price hasn't been too bad. We've seen over the last 18 months sort of an improvement in milk price from a very low point, especially in the UK. It was a very low point. But of course it's cyclical, and we're now seeing things plateauing off, and we're seeing some prices dropping again now in the UK market. So, and that's the way that the industry is now. The cycles are very short. It used to be that you would see a cycle over 3 or 4 years, and now really year to year we're seeing quite big changes in price in world markets. It's very volatile.
Why are they going down? Nothing else seems to go down.
No, that's always seems to be the case, isn't it? It's just the basic market and supply and demand. You get good production in the main milk producing parts of the world, and of course we have then excess product on market. That then depresses the price. That's just the way of the world with commodities, any commodity really. So yeah, it's a constant challenge for all in farming really. Yeah.
Dairy farmers obviously trying to reproduce more animals on the farm. Heifers obviously are the in thing that you can use again when they're older for replenishing your milk production. That's cows. Right. What about the male side of it, or can you use the semen that's and choose the sex more now?
Yeah, well that's what we try and do more of now. We're using more and more the sex semen to try and produce as many heifers as we can. We're needing 50 to 60 heifers a year coming into our dairy herd.
That many?
For replacements. Yeah, that's 20 to 25% replacement rate is sort of the norm within the industry really. So we maximise sex semen as much as we can to produce as many heifers as we can. Yeah.
But all in all, once this sun is out now, the birds are singing. Hopefully it'll be an improvement for the summer, and you'll carry on farming and dairy farm with a smile on your face.
Well, all farmers are the same. At the end of the day, we keep going. Whatever. Try to be optimistic. Yeah. When the sun comes out, everyone feels a lot better. So yeah. Try and put this long winter behind us and look ahead. Yeah.
I was talking there to Tim Johnson, Northern dairy farmer. Fairly happy with things. Things a little bit behind, like we've said over the last few weeks, Kerry, haven't we? And that knock-on effect that they worry about. He's just about had enough feed in store, but of course, just got the cows finally out on the field and be out jumping and skipping with their legs in the air, aren't they?
Oh, they look really well when they're out, and they're going out just down our way too as well. But it is such a delight to get them out of the sheds, and they do so much better when they're out at grass as well. But this sunshine on their backs will definitely help everybody at the moment.
It will. And also it's nice to see Manx Wildlife Week underway, Kiri.
It really is. It's nice for everyone to get out and enjoy the Manx countryside, and what an opportunity it is. We're partway through the Manx Wildlife Week now, and I caught up with two people from Manx National Heritage, Laura McCoy, the Curator of Natural History, and Jude Dickin, the Collections Information Manager.
So we are launching the National Biodiversity Network Atlas Isle of Man. So Jude, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
The website is isleofman.nbnatlas.org, and for the first time the Isle of Man is getting its own National Biodiversity Network Atlas, which means we've got over 800,000 records of species. Yeah, exactly.
That is huge.
We want to get to 1 million for the end of the year, but all these records are recording sightings of wildlife on the Isle of Man and its waters. It's a free website. You can go on there and find out everything you'd ever want to know about basking sharks, seven-spot ladybirds, spur dog sharks, all the rest. So we've just launched that website, and we kind of thought, you know what, this is a great opportunity. It's not just launch a website, but actually show people how they can get out in the countryside and start recording wildlife themselves.
And how do they go about recording it? Obviously, you'll spot something weird and wonderful in the countryside. How do they log onto the website and just jot it down?
There are some apps that you can download, things like iRecord. So they're a really good way of being able to note down the information, because it's really important to get the data really accurate. So exactly where were you, when was it, what is it? Also, that's a really good way of verifying your data as well, because if you say, oh, well, I think it's that, but I'm not sure, what that does is that gets sent to an expert, and then they correct it for you, and then that gets added to the NBN Atlas Isle of Man.
Well, another great way, because, you know, I'm not a wildlife recorder. I'm kind of new to this as well. So I'm learning a lot from Laura and also from the likes of DEFRA, Manx Wildlife Trust. But if you're interested in going out there and recording, well, come along to the Manx Wildlife Week, the expo that we're going to have on at iMuseum, and iMuseum building is just down from the Manx Museum. That's going to be on the 25th of April, that's Wednesday the 25th of April, 7 till 9 p.m. It's just a drop-in, it's free. Laura, what will be happening there?
There'll be representatives from lots of different groups, so people like the Manx Wildlife Trust, us.
It's a perfect way for groups to get together, isn't it, really? Yeah. And for people to come under one umbrella to meet up and mingle and get to know these local organisations.
Yeah, so things like the Manx Back Group. So all these different organisations, different wildlife organisations, which are so informative and so involved with sort of the conservation of these animals and plants. And they'll be able to tell you a little bit more about it. And they'll also bring along lots of weird and wonderful things for you to look at.
And they'll show you and, you know, invite you along to how you can get involved and join the group. So that's really important. There's nothing like coming along and meeting the experts sort of face to face and sort of saying, hey, I'd like to get involved in that. When are your next meeting? When can I help? So, yeah.
It's a real fab opportunity. So that's Wednesday the 25th. But also you've got a really busy week ahead still, you know, with the hedgehogs, helping hedgehogs, and also Simon King.
Yes, we've got Simon King. So the lecture that he's going to be doing on the Friday is sold out, but exclusively we've got places for 10 people to spend a whole day with Simon out on the Saturday. He will be taking them out and doing like a wildlife watching masterclass. So things like how to track animals properly, how to observe them appropriately so that maybe you don't disturb them, the kind of equipment that you might need, the techniques that you can use. And you know, this man's an expert who's been doing this for decades. Just being able to watch him and see how he moves through the countryside, I think will be just a fabulous opportunity. So it's available online now.
Yeah, the masterclass is going to take place on Saturday the 28th of April. All information is on our What's On, our Manx National Heritage What's On website, or you can call in at the Manx Museum shop. But there are only 10 places. This is very exclusive. And this is actually Simon's first visit to the island as well. So he's really excited to be here. We're so excited to have him here. So you can go on your very own spring watch.
Oh, wow. What an opportunity.
You can pretend you're Kate Humble or Bill Ardee or whoever, you know. You can go on your very own spring watch with Simon, but there's only 10 places. So it's first come, first served. It's £50 for the day. but you will get then a whole day with Simon King.
Now, I do have to state, I have been told that Simon is an early bird to catch the worms and the birds. So I think it will be an early start, so people need to be prepared to be out there at like 6:30 in the morning.
So it's not the Manx Trader Lure style then. But if you're not an early bird, there is evening events as well, ladies.
The Wildlife Expo is in the evening, but then we've also got the Helping Hedgehogs. That's in the afternoon. That will have live hedgehogs there that have been rescued and are recovering, and they're going to bring them in so we can have a little look at them. Which is on the Saturday the 28th, and that's in the afternoon, and I think it's from 1 till 3 at the Eye Museum. Then we've got the Bat Walk. Now that's going to be a little bit late. That's for your night owls, because that's going to be, I think that starts at like 8:30 and it goes on till about 10:30 at night. And that's because you have to wait until the bats wake up.
What a brilliant opportunity. Where would you ever go or have the experience to find them on your own? This is perfect, isn't it?
So to find out the details, do go on our website, but it's going to be at the Ragget. And so, yes, we'll meet there, and then the Manx Bat Group will take us out into that area, and they'll bring all of the bat echolocators with us, so we'll be able to listen for them. So I'm really looking forward to that. But then we've also got guided walks at the Airs, and that's on the 29th, the Sunday. We do have rock pooling, but I'm afraid that's sold out instantly, like within 2 days. I think everybody on the Isle of Man loves rock pooling.
Yeah, we're so surrounded with the sea. I suppose it's only natural to want to go and explore and find out, isn't it? But what an opportunity, ladies, to have such events put on, to learn and link and connect the community, with the countryside.
And get to speak to the experts as well, get to speak to the people that are out there every day, living it and helping.
What we really want to do, this is 2018 Manx Wildlife Week. We're looking to do a 2019 Manx Wildlife Week and onwards. So we will respond to demand and what people want more of, or we obviously need to put on more rock crawling events because people love the rock pools. But what we'd really like to come out of the week as well is, we want people to learn and to become more expert in recording as well. And you might be scratching your head and thinking, well, how do I do that? I don't know. There are experts on the island who are dying to share their knowledge and to get you up to speed, being a wildlife expert as well. We at Manx National Heritage and at DEFRA and the Manx Wildlife Trust, we're all of us wanting to support that.
The thing that it feeds back into is that it's really important to record wildlife because we need to know what we're losing.
It's essential, isn't it, to see if we can slow it or stop it, because animals do become extinct. Yeah,
I mean, we need a baseline. We need to know what's out there, and to be able to do that, we have to get people out. And we are not everywhere. We're relatively small organisations. If you think about the number of people that we are and the population of the island, if you can get thousands of people out there recording things, that's a lot more effective than say 10 or 20. So the more we see, the more data we have, the more of an idea that we get of what we have, and then we can continue to monitor it to see how it changes over time. So what animals or plants are struggling, what things are doing really well, what are the effects of climate change? All of those things get answered with the more data that you have.
We're a really unique island in that way, and I know that word unique can often be, overused, but I think actually when you look at biodiversity, we really are. We are a UNESCO biosphere. We're the first island nation to be given that status, and part of Manx Wildlife Week is having fun and enjoying yourself out in the wildlife, but it also has that serious message underneath, as Laura said, about recording wildlife, valuing what we've got, really valuing it, and then really celebrating it and sharing that through the website. So isleofman.nbnatlas.org. It's live now. Go on there, go and see what's out there on our island, and share your thoughts and records and feedback with us.
That was Laura McCoy, Curator of Natural History, and Jude Dickin, Collections Information Manager from Manx National Heritage.
It's lovely to hear enthusiastic people who more or less dedicate their time completely to these sort of ventures, particularly in the wildlife side of the Isle of Man.
They really have spent a great deal of time getting all the website up and running now, so people can register their information that they find in the countryside, and also all the organisations coming together for the Wildlife Expo at the Eye Museum on Wednesday night. It'll be just a really great evening for people to go along and see what we have here on the island.
Yeah, and it would surprise people what's here. isn't it?
It really is, and what people can spot out in the countryside and note down, just all little bits of information they can take away and enjoy when they're out walking.
Yeah, because there's so much technology involved now compared to, like I said, when I was a kid. You were lucky you had to keep it in your brain, really, because you never even had a pen or a piece of paper with you. But now, of course, you can just take a photograph straight away of something, let people have a look at it. And
there's so
see
many
if it's something
people
new,
like
isn't it?
with that knowledge that can share it and obviously recording it. And maybe it's a rare species that maybe it's never really been spotted before. So who knows what's out there? But there's plenty of experts on hand to give information.
Plenty of rare species on the island, isn't there?
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, I got invited along to have a look at the Onchan Centenary Park. It's there at the back of Farm Hill. I went along and spoke to some of the volunteers, particularly Nigel Williams and also Phil Corlett. But firstly, I spoke to Falk Horning, who is the current manager of the project. And I asked him where his interest in it began.
I am one of the directors of the Woodland Trust, and we've been working in this area here for the last 3 years. It used to be a former tip here, and we have planted now around 2,000 trees in this whole area. Of special mention is this one area, which is called the commemorative remembrance area of the servicemen who died in the First World War. We planted 1,160 trees for them and a few extra also in remembrance of that. The British Legion and Tesco helped us with the funding of this project, but this was predominantly driven by the volunteers who come here every Sunday from 11 till 1 and have put in hundreds of hours over the years entirely for free and driven forward this project.
You've showed me a book here of when you first got your group together and had a look at this, and it did have that old tip look about it, and it's marvellous to see the progression in them photographs to how it's looking even now.
Yes, thank you. That's good to hear. One of the masterminds of this, or the mastermind really of this project, was Clive Martin, who has had the idea and the drive forward to initiate it and to get the people in originally. Since then we have had many different people here. Some come in here one Sunday, help a little bit, maybe take a few weeks off and then come back here again to help us. So it's always a few people coming in, a few dropping off, and it has been marvellous over the years, really.
Nigel Williams, you're involved in this project as well. It's bigger than you think.
Yes, there's about 25 acres, I believe. We've got separate areas. We've got an original woodland area, and beyond that we've got the orchard, which we've planted.
The orchard, was it already there with the fruit trees? Or?
No, it wasn't.
Ah.
No, there was some wild Victoria plums there that we've trimmed back. Hopefully they'll come up again this year. But we've planted apple trees, pear trees.
A cherry which was donated.
Yeah, cherry trees. We've also got some walnuts, pine. We've got quite a selection, hazelnuts. We've got quite a selection down there, yes.
How long have you been involved in it now?
About 18 months.
Yeah. What brought you to here? Are you a resident around the area?
I live actually in Douglas, but I wanted to come back to get some fresh air, and I bumped into these two guys here that we're talking to today. It's like it's like my home up here.
Yeah?
Yeah, I love it up here, yeah.
And what is it just somewhere it's away? It's just far enough, I suppose, away from the road and the busy noise?
It's very tranquil here, and you get to see the seasons. And once you work and keep working, you see the seasons developing, and as it develops, and you feel that something's happening all the time. Obviously, nature is taking its place in some areas, and we've tied it up to make the pathway through to the cross that the British Legion have resolved themselves. So, but it's just peaceful at different times of the year.
What about when you're here every day? Do you notice a change in it yourself even?
Yes, you do, yes. Yeah. And you feel proud as well that you've achieved something from nothing when it was a tip and looking very messy. And look at it, as you said, today. It's looking beautiful.
Phil Corlett, you've spent a lot of time up here at this park as well. As Nigel said, it must be quite rewarding to see the progress you've made in quite a relative short time, I suppose.
Yeah, I think Falk and I started coming up, and originally it was only three of us. I mean, Clive Martin started it, Falk and I had come up, and we sort of got more and more involved. Just cracked on from there. I mean, we've moved bags of cement off here, old fridges, you name it. There's stuff dumped everywhere, and it's been cleaned up a whole lot. You know, it's real nice now.
I see that there's a beautiful pond there as well, with some benches that have been put around it now. How natural is that pond?
It's a man-made thing. It was a digger that pulled it out, but it's worked really well. I mean, at the start of the season now you can't see an awful lot, but as it goes on in the summer, there's all sorts of waterflowers. Isle and Woodland Trust has planted a number of water plants around it. We've had ducks and ducklings in there. We've had probably about 15 ducklings at one time. They had 2 clutches they did. And it's a beautiful spot to look up the hills, because I come up here, well, the other anglers, I've got a couple of beehives up here, so I'm up here for an evening. A walk down there to look up the hills is just very relaxing.
But it's not just yourselves that can come up here, though. That's the beauty of this, isn't it?
It's a public park, yeah, and a lot of people just don't know it's here. You come up top of Birch Hill, there's a little footpath there, you come through, and then you come through a side gate. You know, we've got a number of residents coming up here, but not many people know about it, because we've had people come up here and said they didn't even know it was here. So it's nice when they say, and it's a real improvement.
You got more to do yet, I suppose. It's just an ongoing project, is it?
Yeah, there seems to be something to do every weekend. We're up here sometimes twice a week. There's an area over by the entrance there that the Isle of Man Friends of the Earth's going to pay for to be seeded with wildflowers. So that'll be a nice area, quite a big area. One other thing is the community service comes up here quite regularly, and they're a big help. We must say, they do an awful lot of work for us as well. It's really good. And can I just say, while we're on, the Isle of Man Woodland Trust is looking for people who have land, and if they'd like trees planted on it, please get in touch with us, you know, either through the website or Facebook. We've got a good page on there. Please get in touch, because we could do with more land to plant trees on.
And folk as well, you seem to have had the help of some of the younger generation of the island as well with the project?
Yes, it is very much a community project. We've had 3 schools coming up here, planting a good number of trees. They enjoyed very much the experience.
The current manager of the Onchan Centenary Park project, Falk Honing, and also Nigel Williams and Phil Corlett, showing me round that wonderful piece they've got there, converted it from a former tip area, and that beautiful, the Cross and the British Legion area there, the pond and all the trees they planted and the orchard. It really is taken shape now. You know, it's not the finished project yet, and they're up there, as they said, volunteering and doing work on the Sundays. And it's just in a couple of years' time, 2-3 years' time, that really is going to be a special place to visit. And you can visit it now.
It's great that open spaces are available for us to go and enjoy. And when people are putting so much effort in, and maybe you can go and contribute as well, you really enjoy them spaces, and they can be so peaceful, can't they?
Yeah, and that bit where it is, you can look back towards the Cregnabar and the mountains, and it was beautifully clear, you know, when I went to see them at the weekend, and it was just, the view was amazing as well. But they really are passionate and really seem to enjoy doing it together, you know. And they've got a little book there, as we mentioned, and it's got the pictures from the start of the project and how it's been going along. So it's very, very interesting.
To have enthusiastic people like that taking up a bit of rough ground and making it into something special is so rewarding, and it's something that's there for everybody in the community. And wait till the Cregnabar and all the heather comes out. It'll be such a lovely view, won't it?
Certainly will.
Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Well, that really is a nice place to have a view over towards the Cregnabar and the mountains, where that Onchan Centenary Park is there. It really is great that they volunteers get together and all seem to get on really well and help each other out, and, you know, just get on with making that a really special place.
But there's nothing worse than seeing a rough piece of ground and nothing getting done with it. So to have an idea like that and actually coming to the fore, it must be really rewarding for not only the volunteers, but like I say, it'll be there for years to come for everybody to enjoy. And it gives inspiration to do other parts of the island, maybe.
Well, that's right. And of course it would people invited there to take their kids along as well, and they can help out and just, you know, help put little plants in and things like that, and help to move and redo the paths with the you know, the wood chipping things. There's plenty to do for them, and it would get them out of the house, isn't it?
This is it. It's a contribution and something to be proud of.
Yeah, Tim Johnson, fairly happy, just a little bit worried that things are behind them. 3 or 4 weeks, with getting grass ready for the silage cuts and planting crops, and just I suppose he's one of the fortunate ones that had enough feed to keep them inside for that length of time, isn't it?
If the weather comes right now, it'll come good quite quickly, especially a bit of heat about, and all being well, winter will be put behind us and we can have positive thoughts for the spring and summer ahead now.
Yeah, plenty of positivism, if that's the correct word, in the wildlife week, wasn't there?
It's been a very busy week so far for them, and long may it continue with lots more events coming up, especially that expo on the Wednesday evening, to get down and see what all's happening down there at the Eye Museum.
But we'll leave it there for this week's Countryside. We're back next week with more. So from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kiri
We'll
Kermode.
see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't sit in the slow lane. Join the fast lane right now with Shaw's all-new Superfast Plus broadband. Enjoy more bandwidth, amazing speeds and the best value on the island from just £23.95 per month. So don't be left behind. Get a piece of the high-speed action with Superfast Plus broadband from Shaw. For details, visit our stores in Douglas, Ramsey and Port Erin or click shaw.com. Love being Shaw. Terms and conditions apply.